I'd like to open up the regular village board meeting for the village of Shorewood on February the 23rd in the year 2021. Would you join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Diane, roll call, please.
Chapman,
Here.
DeVold,
Here.
Warren,
Here.
Brockman,
Here.
Kirkland, Anderson, and Luciano.
Here. Okay, let the record show there's a quorum. Regular village business can be accomplished tonight. We do have an electric hookup for any resident or anybody of interest that wanted to call in, so. Are there any citizens that want to address the board tonight or wishes to address the board? Nobody within the room? Anybody electronically hooked to us? I'll give you a few minutes. Look, make sure your phone's unmuted. It would surprise me. Okay. All right. We're going to move on to tonight's consent agenda, which consists of approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes for January the 26th. Also approval of the village board regular meeting minutes for February the 9th. Number 3, approval of accounts payable in the amount of $789,803.38. Number 4, approval of a payment in the amount of $12,690 to RJN Group for the 2020 Sewer Clean and TV program. Number 5, approval of a payment in the amount of $33,323.85 to Springbrook Holding Company for the annual financial software subscription, I'm sorry. And finally, approval of grant payment number 4 in the amount of $13,020.96 to Shorewood Cares Small Business Relief Program recipients. Are there any items on tonight's consent agenda a trustee would like removed for further review? Or are there any questions on tonight's consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Diane, roll call, please.
Anderson,
Yes.
Luciano,
Yes.
Kirkland, yes. DeVold,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
and Brockman.
Yes.
Consent agenda stands approved. I have no reports. Diane, any communications to the board?
No, Mayor, there's not.
Okay, I have no proclamations. No real comments, except we've been, the staff and the village boards have been going through the budget process this year. Things are running along very smoothly, and we have a couple items to discuss at the committee of the whole meeting, which is directly after the village board meeting and an executive session. So we're going to move on to order of business. Business item number 1, a presentation by Plainfield Shorewood Area Chamber of Commerce. And Bud comes up.
Good to see everyone. Let me jump right to it. Crossroads isn't going anywhere. So there's been a lot of questions since the press release came out about Crossroads. One of the things when Carol announced her retirement and we started to discuss what the future of the Shorewood Chamber was exactly that. that anything that happened with the chamber, Crossroads would remain exactly the same. Same weekend, same time frame, same event, and everything. So we are thrilled. Tasha is here with me. Tasha has been the executive director of the Plainfield Chamber of Commerce for 10 years?
2013.
Okay, 8, yep. So I've known Tasha for several years, and when Carol and Jan announced their retirement, our board had a discussion as far as what is the future of the Shorewood Chamber going to look like. When your president retires in the middle of a pandemic, it presents some interesting choices to make. And so we consulted with some village officials, other leaders throughout the community, and we thought that this would be a great opportunity for our businesses to have additional opportunities, additional marketing opportunities, additional opportunities to meet others. So we are thrilled to have Tasha and the Plainfield team and us to work together. Our current Shorewood board is 8 members strong, and we have 4 of those members coming to the Plainfield Shorewood board, including Jim Sir, Anna Hollinger, Diane Lambert, and myself. So we are thrilled. I'll allow Tasha to introduce herself and a little bit about what she sees as what we can do together by merging the 2 chambers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adam. Again, my name's Tasha Marsalia. I've been the executive director of the Plainfield Chamber since 2013 in April. I love being a part of the chamber. We've done a lot of things with Shorewood in the past. So when Adam actually came to me in November, kind of throwing the idea around, we thought it was a great opportunity. Just a little bit of background about both chambers. Our chamber is a little bit larger. However, out of the amount of members that Shorewood does have, we have about 30 of them that are actually current Plainfield members, which is great for us. We've done, like I said, joint events. We're looking forward to being able to add more events within the Shorewood community, as well as giving our businesses an opportunity to network a little bit more. And as Adam said, Crossroads Fest, I totally understand it is extremely important to this community. I actually used to be a resident of Shorewood, so I understand it. We don't want to change that. We don't want to take it away. That's not what this is about. This is about joining 2 organizations together, becoming one big organization, and being able to provide more to our membership and our local businesses. So I do have a background in working in festivals. I actually am a part of the Plainfield Riverfront Foundation, who puts on Plainfield Fest. So I get the amount of work and the dedication that you have to put into this. However, I'm very excited to be able to be a part of the team, and with Carol still spearheading the event this year and walking us through the way that Shorewood Fest has become very successful to all the communities in the area. But we're here to answer any questions from you guys, and looking forward to working with you. So.
Any questions for Tasha?
I see that you're going to use, in the memo, you're still going to keep the office here. So what do you think the use will be for here?
This will be more of like a satellite office for us to come over here. Currently, right now, there's 2 of us in the Plainfield office, so we do own our building. So we wanted to make sure that we obviously still kept that area, but being able to come over here a couple times a week, utilizing the referral group that's a part of the Shorewood Chamber and the space. I know Adam and I have talked a little bit about there is some storage that happens here as well for Crossroads Fest. But we definitely want to be able to still be visible and be here and host events, as well as the office space too, so then we can interact within the village and new businesses that are coming in.
So you're planning a couple days a week here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm not familiar with where Plainfield Chamber is. Is it in the separate building than the Village Hall?
It is in a separate building. We are in the heart of downtown Plainfield, right on Lockport Street, if you're familiar with Mora Asian Fusion Restaurant, right across the street from that.
Okay.
So, in our own building, yes.
All right.
Yep. Anybody else?
Yes, all we can say is, well, one thing, I want to thank the Shorewood Chamber.
Absolutely.
To divide them out, Diane and Carol, of course you, and because of the job that you've done over the years, and taking that festival from a 2 pop-up tent facility over on 59, I think we even had one back behind the Green Gardens, if anybody remembers that one. And taking it to what it is today, in the position it is, was just a wonderful achievement. And then, I haven't been to a lot, but I've been to a few your after-hours events and things like that. I think the chamber was run very well, nice, smoothly. So joining with Plainfield, which I know is a strong organization, and I know a lot of people within that organization, I would say it's going to be even better.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Better, bigger is not always better, but in this case, I think this one is. So,
We're excited about the opportunities.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I know they're welcoming Shorewood in, but Shorewood's welcoming you in too.
Thank
Okay.
you very much. We appreciate that.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Business item number 2, discussion on the use of ball fields at Seni's Four Seasons Park. Mr. Colada.
Thank you, Mayor. So over the past several weeks now, I've been kind of monitoring, talking with both clubs, but the two clubs have actually been doing a fair amount of communication back and forth with each other. They've had proposals and counter proposals. Yeah, I know there are representatives here tonight from both clubs, so they could certainly speak to some of the details of that. At this point, there does not appear to be a consensus on how to have a sharing of the fields. Each club is different, and their needs are different. What day that's important to have field time is different. So there's definitely some challenges to try to share the 3 diamonds that are there. I know it's getting late, in terms of the planning, pre-season, so to speak, for these clubs. I believe there's a willingness for some continued dialogue, but time is running short in terms of making field schedules and arrangements for their upcoming seasons. So with that, I open the opportunity for continued dialogue.
And with that, do we have people from either organization or both?
Both.
Organizations that would like to speak about it tonight? I see people kind of.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeanette Mackin, and I am one of the board members for Minooka Baseball and Softball Association. As Mr. Colada stated, we have been, I guess you would say, going back and forth with proposals and counter proposals for the last 4 weeks after the board meeting 4 weeks ago. And basically what has happened is there's been negotiations on our side, and we have given, I guess in a negotiation, I consider that it's kind of a give and take. And we've come to a standstill where we have offered, and they come back and tell us that doesn't work, and they come back with their same. They would like to have one solid field just for their organization to utilize 7 days a week. And as our numbers keep coming in, our registration ends the end of February for most of our softball. The younger ones, we do extend a little longer for the younger ones. But we've come to a point where, because there's not been a true negotiation, they just keep coming back with, they want one field, they want one field. We haven't been able to come to a consensus because we've got 160 girls, which is now, we're at 15 teams currently that would need to use the 3 fields. And I presented to Mr. Kulata kind of scenario of those, it's 14 teams. It was 13 teams when I gave him the proposal of how we would use those fields. And 13 teams, each of those teams would require a weeknight time slot, and then we give them a weekend time slot on Saturday. And that's their practice. They get 2 practices a week, and then they'll have their games 2 to 3 times a week. We don't have enough time slots. If we give one whole field away for the week, there's not enough time slots. Even with us trying to shuffle things around in Minooka, not all of our fields are softball capable. Most of them are baseball. And I told Mr. Kulata in one of our counter proposals, we thought we had found a fit with giving them Wednesdays on all 3 fields, and Saturdays, afternoons, into the evenings, and then all day Sunday on all 3 fields. I thought maybe that was going to work because he had originally said they had Mondays and Fridays, is what he told 2 of our board members in Shanahan. So we thought we'd found a fit, and then he came back and said that we misunderstood him. He doesn't have Mondays and Fridays in Shanahan. So we have come to that spot where I guess there's not enough field time if we give up one whole field. And in the negotiations, they haven't come back with anything other than wanting one field. So we've kind of come to that standstill, that with the number of girls that we have currently and the number of teams, it makes it extremely difficult, which I did. Originally, I explained that to Mr. Kulata when he asked us about possibly sharing the fields, and this was before we had our registration numbers totally in, but I went back several years with what we usually have for the number of girls playing, and told him it would be extremely difficult. It becomes quite a juggling act trying to get all of the fields scheduled, and then if you get rain in that, you're trying to shift and make it work. So we just are not at a point that we can come to an agreement, and they have told us that they don't want the weekend times. They want the weeknights. They want the weeknights that we also need for our practices and our games. So I guess our board has asked that if we could honor what the intent of the original agreement was, which was the 5-year, the right of first refusal with the ability to negotiate another 5-year term. We did in 2018 give receipts to the village for over $16,000 worth of work that we did to the fields, which was above and beyond what our payment was for our length of contract. And Mr. Dyer at that point, Katie has those receipts, and then we've also offered to we've budgeted in 2019, we budgeted $25,000 for improvements to the fields going forward for our next 5-year agreement, and we'd like to still be able to do that for the village. In those things that we did for the $16,000, the village had wanted to put the canopies over the dugouts, and we worked with Katie and Luke. What color did they want to have on the dugouts? They also spoke with the police department. They didn't want anything on the back so the police can go through for safety and shine the light and make sure there's nobody in the dugouts. So, that was one of the big things. We've done a lot of field. You have to keep adding dirt, and we had the edges of the lips taken off because those erode away after a period of time. But our big thing that we had budgeted for in 2019 was the dugouts, or the batting cages, to try to help save on the fences out there. And that would not only be for the kids that are in Minooka baseball, but that would also be for kids in the community could go and use those batting cages as well. So I guess, we haven't been able to work out a deal because two organizations are needing the same days, basically, is what it amounts to. So our hope is that Minooka baseball and softball has been good stewards. We understand, we appreciate Mr. Kulata's time he spent on this, and all of you that you've had to sit here and, listen to all of this. But our hope is that we've been good stewards, and we would like to continue our partnership with the Village of Shorewood to continue to serve the kids in our community.
Thank you. Any questions? Any board member questions for Lee?
I did have one question, and I was going to wait until the other side spoke, but
Sure.
I'll ask you the question because I'm trying to understand this better. And correct me if I'm wrong. You indicated that you were willing to give them all 3 fields on Wednesday
Correct.
and on Saturday and Sunday,
On Saturday afternoons from 3 o'clock on, and then all day on Sundays.
and all day on Sunday. And I'm not quite understanding when you say you need the fields, the schedule, when you're willing to give up 3 days on 3 fields. Why you would not be able to give up 1 field?
Well, because.
I'm just trying to understand
Sure.
how that happened.
So what we did is we were trying to, again, it's a little give and take, with trying to work with them to give them days that they could get. Basically what we did is that came out to approximately 66 time slots. And then we had 66 time slots. So it was an even 50-50 split of time. The problem is, if you have 13 teams that need, now 14, that need 2 2-hour time slots a week, you're at 28 of those 2-hour time slots, our games run during the week. So each team is going to play weeknight games as well as Saturday games. So that's how it makes it very difficult. We can't give up. We gave up the 1 day that we could, and we've adjusted and moved baseball teams so that we can accommodate those Wednesday night games in Minooka, but we can't move 2, 3 nights, 4 nights from 1 complete field. That would knock out either our Pinto League girls or our Mustang League girls. So if we've got 5 Mustang teams, 5 Pinto teams, and 2 Bronco and 2 of our travel teams, if we took 1 complete field away, it would probably be our Pinto field. Those girls won't be able to play. We can't fit them in on the other 2 fields to play their games and their practices during the week. There's not enough time slots.
I'm not understanding the same time slots, but
Each team gets 2 hours.
well, yeah, but if you're giving up all Wednesday night on 3 fields,
Right.
and you're giving Saturday all after 3 o'clock and all day Sunday, it would seem that you'd be able to schedule those on those 2 fields on the days you were giving up.
But we don't.
Again,
see it-
I don't understand your
Yeah.
scheduling, how you schedule and everything else like that,
Sure.
but that's what it appears to me.
So on we don't normally schedule games on Sundays. The only ones that usually will schedule games on Sundays is possibly our travel or part-time travel. Our in-house league schedules games Monday through Saturday. And if you have, say for example, the Pinto League playing on, I gave Jim this example today. Fridays, a lot of times we try to save that for rainouts because you don't want a little girls team playing Friday night, say at 6 o'clock, coming home at 8 something and having to play the next morning right away again. So we try to schedule them Monday through Thursday. It doesn't mean that we don't. We have to. Sometimes they have to play that way. But consistently, we don't like them to have to play 2 nights or 2 days back to back where one's in the evening on a Friday and then one's on Saturday morning.
Thank you.
Sure.
Just to kind of expand on that just a little, we would have a little more ability to juggle around some of our baseball schedule in Manuka on 1 weeknight versus 5 weeknights would be the difficulty. We can rearrange a few things in Manuka so we can make a couple fields available for softball on that one Wednesday night, just not all 5 nights would be the difficulty.
Any other questions?
No, thank you. There was another gentleman that was standing up. To him. Just give me your name, please.
How are you? Matt Bibo. I'm with Illinois Select, and this is,
Hi, Dan Ekstrom, Illinois Select.
appreciate it. Like Jeanette said, we've been talking back and forth for 4 weeks now. The process has been going on since the beginning of November when we brought it up, but I guess we kind of took direction from the village on certain aspects where it sounded like the first time we met, you guys wanted us to try to work out an agreement where everybody could use the fields. The other thing from Mr. Collada, it sounds like there wasn't going to be a 5-year agreement is what he stated. It was more like a 1-year agreement. And then also from Mr. Collada was there could not be any subleasing. So the use of us saying we would take 1 field and they could take 2 fields, then obviously you could have a separate agreement with both organization. Also, when we look at the field use and the amount of repairs that has to happen right now, the first meeting we had, which Mayor, you were not here the first time, it was suggested that at the end of each season, the village would evaluate the fields to make sure they're being taken care of and managed properly. And I think us taking 1 field and Manuka taking 2 fields, then you can actually do that evaluation. I don't know how you would be able to evaluate a field if I have it for 1 day and they have it for 2 days, or we're flip-flopping days back and forth, how the fields are being managed. So for the time, they've offered 50% of the time. Jeanette's right, it was 66 hours to I think 66 or 69, whatever it is. In reality, we're asking for 33% of the time. We're asking for 1 field. So that's, that's the way we have proposed it. I think that's the cleanest way to allow the same amount of Shorewood residents and kids that play in our league also use the fields that in the village that they reside in. So I don't know if anybody had any questions for us as well.
Can I say one thing? No. So the way we came to 1 field is we have 1/3 of the participants that they have. It just became simple numbers. They have this many, we have 1/3. If we can schedule our number of participants on 1 field, we didn't see that they would have a problem scheduling their number of participants on 2 fields. They're offering a 50-50 split, which is what they keep countering with, 50-50 split. I'm okay with 50-50 split, I just want their 50%. If you understand what I'm saying, is that it's a 50-50 split, but neither one of us wants Sunday time spots, and the hours that they're offering me are not the hours that are good for our organization, nor do they want those hours. So it's really not a 50-50 split.
Right.
50-50 split, I'd be glad to let them take the 50% they've offered us, and we'll take the 50% that they've offered. And then it gets really complicated when we're trying to split fields, who's going to be on this field or that field, who's going to maintain this field, who's going to maintain that field. If it's just our own field, we don't have to worry about splitting maintenance. We don't have to worry about splitting any additional costs with them. It just seemed like a simpler proposal. So that's how we got to where we are.
This is, it was open for discussion tonight. There was no action. The board's not going to take any action unless they want to, unless somebody wants to make a motion in that effort. But you are running late to get the season going. So we'll still be talking at the village and maybe even talking to you people over the next week or so. And, can't promise not gonna promise anything, okay? As far as that goes. All we know right now, Manuka's been a partner with us for a long time. And any word that I get back, it's been a great partnership. Well, even if you're a car dealership and you got a great relationship with your supplier and your customers, you need to kind of keep that relationship going and nurture it and not do anything to disrupt it. So that's where I would be. I would be in that position right now.
Well, I'm going to chime in on this. We have another organization that supports community development, a program we have residents and kids in our community. Baseball is obviously a growing program out here. We've got Rhino Baseball, we've got Dynasty Baseball. Manuka's been providing an organization out here as well. We have another organization that's formed and is obviously utilizing, trying to utilize an activity for residents in this community. I think it was mentioned a couple of meetings back. I completely agree. There needs to be a compromise. I know Manuka is referencing a day here, a day there. I can understand where you guys are referencing time slots. You want to take into account for rain and whatnot, maintenance, all valid components. I truly believe it should just be two separate agreements. I do agree the fact that it should be as simple as the administrator proposed, a one-year agreement for both teams. These folks should have one field, Manuka should take two fields, and we can evaluate the maintenance. We can evaluate who's taking care of the fields. You can evaluate how the organizations go. If I recall, Manuka reference, they also have 5 fields in Manuka. We know Manuka, the village of Manuka's got 3 more fields that are going to be up and available in another year. So my opinion on that is, that's that. We got another organization. It's involving kids in our community. I think we got to try to be all encompassing as much as possible.
Sean Mackin with Manuka Baseball and Softball. Just to reference, we do not have 5 softball fields in Manuka. Most of the fields that we use in Manuka, that's our baseball fields. We do have 2 that can be used for softball. At the younger end, one of them could be used for older softball. So those are the fields that we would have to, that in particular one field would have to be the one that we would try and juggle everything to. And just a reminder to, and I'm not, to those of you that maybe weren't part of the village, either as a trustee or even on the administration side of things, 12 years ago when we entered into this agreement with the village of Manuka, I know some of you were here, we did not approach the village of Shorewood at that point. The village of Shorewood approached us to see if we would be interested in utilizing the fields at that time. They were, very new fields at the time. They were being underutilized. I think it was at just an adult softball league on Wednesdays and Sundays. We're playing down there. And we were thrilled. We were absolutely thrilled to be able to be part of the village and grow our organization to the size that it is. Quite frankly, to the size that it is now, that we need those number of fields. It was because of the partnership. And at that time, the village was nice enough to even take care of the fields for us. They were doing a lot of the dragging. They were doing the chalking. They were doing things along those lines. And at that time, Gordy came to us at one point and said, "I can't do it anymore." And we said, "Absolutely, we'll take it over." And I've read one of the reports that's in your guys' packet today, and I know one of the things that they keep bringing up with you guys is that we were doing more with less in the village, and I know that's a struggle. We are an organization that is really hoping to be able to take care of those fields for you guys and continue to take care of those. So we really hope that not only what we've done in the past, plus what we'd like to be able to do in the future kind of goes into that. So, it's been because of you guys that the numbers are what they are, and the need is there as well. So totally agree with you. Organizations are trying to provide the service within the village. You guys have allowed us to be able to grow our organization to the point that we really do have that field space need out there, and that's why we're sitting here today. And that's why we would really hope to be able to go into another long-term agreement with the village, where we can put the money into the fields, that we need to. And then if the village wants to be able to do whatever they want to at the end of that agreement, rent them out to multiple organizations or whatever. We are going into this agreement understanding that. I think where we're a little baffled by with this is that I think we all agreed when we signed this agreement 5 years ago, the intent was for a long-term relationship. That's why we had the first right of refusal that was put in there on both sides. That's because I don't think any of us thought that we wouldn't continue to go on with this relationship. As long as we did what we were supposed to, and as long as the village still wanted us around, that's what we thought was absolutely gonna happen. Every step along the way, when we talked with village staff, we worked with Katie, we worked with Katie, we worked with Luke, we worked with Gordy and his staff, we got the impression that we were doing everything correctly and everything that the village wanted us to do at that point. So we didn't have any other thought other than we would be going on with another 5-year agreement, because that's what our contract was written to be like. And we were given the impression by staff in both the fall and in January of this year that was going to be the recommendation. So that's how we were going forward with it. So, we're happy to do whatever the village wants. They're obviously your fields, they're the village of Shorewood's fields, the residents of Shorewood's. So we're here to do whatever we want. We are just in a position where we're trying to do what's best for our organization. And that's part of the negotiation process, and that's what we're doing.
Did somebody tell you guys have a 5-year agreement? 'Cause I know the administrator proposed a 1-year agreement, so I'm just curious where this 5 is coming from.
We were informed via email by Mr. Culata in early January that he was going to recommend our proposal, which was for the 5-year agreement.
Is that true?
I don't believe that's accurate. I know the recommendation I made over a month ago, called for that.
In an email to us on that, I don't want to go with the exact wording unless I have it right here. It was barring any unforeseen circumstances, he was going to recommend our proposal to the village board. So that's why we thought, and then we didn't find out until just before that board meeting that there was going to be a 1-year recommendation instead of the 5.
Right,
So in our original contract, item number 5 states that Minooka Baseball has the right of first refusal
Correct.
and the ability to negotiate the 5-year, yeah.
Correct.
But and I'm looking for it because I do have a copy of the email. Mr. Culata did say that he was going to recommend our proposal, which was for a 5-year. The only way I found out it was going to be a 1-year was when I called him the day before the January 26th meeting. I called him to make sure we were going to be on the docket still for the meeting. And he said yes, and sent me over the memo of what was proposed, what you all would get, and that's how I learned it was only for a 1-year.
Yeah, I probably should have been more clear in my email to you about saying your proposal. My decision to make the recommendation that I did was made, obviously before that email.
Yeah, it was on January 7th.
Yeah, so I should have been more clear in how I articulated that to you.
Okay. It just says that you were glad we had the chance to speak earlier. The proposals will be presented at the January 26th Committee of the Whole meeting instead of next Tuesday. Board approval of an agreement will not occur on the 26th, as the Committee of the Whole meeting will only give the board an opportunity to discuss the proposals. I encourage you or another representative to attend at 7 p.m. on the 26th in case the board has questions. It may be a virtual meeting by phone or video. And then barring any unforeseen surprises, I plan to recommend the board select your proposal. Please contact me with any questions.
Yeah, so I apologize if I gave you an impression that was strictly, the way you had worded your proposal.
It's the thing is, we've been dealing with the 5-year blocks with these guys since we came to them, how many years ago? I mean, it's not that it's not unusual, it's not out of the ordinary, the 5-year at a time, so.
And I
5 years ago, we didn't have another organization trying to utilize fields either.
No.
yeah, and
Could I just say something? I know they've been negotiating this for a month, and I think they said they're still talking about it. So why don't we give them 2 more weeks, and then in 2 more weeks, if they can't come up with a decision, then we'll make the decision for it. I think that rather than hashing this out now, it makes no sense. We still have to talk about it.
I agree. I'd rather see the organizations resolve it first.
I'd much rather see you guys figure it out.
Well, I think that's the struggle that we've
That we're gonna be
come to.
making a
That's why we
decision.
came here was,
Well, you know, here's
We
the
weren't
way I'm looking
getting-
at it from what you're saying. You guys have been here, and I understand that you've been a good partner with the village and everything. Unfortunately, some things come up that hasn't come up in the past, and
Right.
we're trying to make it, what I said when you first came here, I'd like to see you come to an agreement where you share it. Both organizations have residents in Shorewood. It seems like it's not that hard of a thing to do. If push came to shove, and I'm not saying the village would do this, but if we said, okay, if you can't come to agreement, then no one uses the fields, then you would come to an agreement probably. So I think you really have to sit down and hash it out. Some people are gonna have to give, some are gonna take, some, it's gotta be back and forth, but it's not gonna go anywhere if we can't come to some agreement. And I think 6 weeks is plenty of time to get this taken care of. I don't know how you do it. I'm not familiar with your schedules and how that works, but I see there has to be a way to solve this where you can share it. That's my opinion. I could be totally wrong, but that's the way I look at it.
Okay, well, then I'll give my opinion. My opinion is we've had a long-term situation with Manuka Ball. They've been great customers and partners with us. Now, if there's a disagreement because you got a new organization coming in, do you take your old organization and screw them?
Nobody's screwing them. They're asking them to
Hey,
reduce the field by
well,
one.
if they can't do what they want to do with their scheduling, then they are being screwed, okay? And I ain't buying it. I've been with you people since the beginning. In fact, it was through the first pitch out.
Yes, you did.
And the situation is that if you can come to an agreement, but all the emails that I read this morning tell me that that agreement's not there because of the Sunday issue. And I can't tell you how this board's gonna vote, but I know if it comes to me how I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna protect the people that we had. Now, the organization, yeah, are there Shorewood kids in the new organization? Were they in the old organization?
yes, most of
Aren't
them.
they still there? Okay, that's a great question. I'd like an answer to it.
I think they talked about that when you weren't here, they mentioned it.
Well, I
I'm just
wasn't
saying,
here.
they did mention it, you weren't here.
Well, then repeat it to me.
Mayor, I'll comment. I don't claim to know the answer to that question, but two things. We feel like the fields have been underutilized. That's one of the reasons we're here is I'm at those fields all the time, and they have not been full. Very rarely do they have more than 2 teams on a field. That's why we came up with our one field proposal. So I live in Shorewood. I live right down the road from those fields. There's never anybody out there. So I don't know why this year we have to have, suddenly the fields are going to be full with Shorewood kids. That has not been true the last couple of years. I've looked at their schedule for the last couple of years. It did not show that they were using 3 fields as much as they plan on using 3 fields now. Okay, and I respect that you want to be loyal because that's how I would like to do business. So I totally understand that. But you know, a lot of our kids came to our organization because I don't want to speak for the parents, but we offer a different experience than what they get there. Their experience is a cheaper, that's a bad word, but a less expensive experience. Ours comes with a little more instruction. Maybe they play a little bit more games, they play a lot more games. And it seems like that the residents of Shorewood and other communities are preferring that. So that's why, you know, things have changed slightly.
If I'm a new organization, I'm coming into an already fully established organization with a contract with the village. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take what I can get. I'm not gonna come in and negotiate them out of what they have. I'm gonna take what I can get to get in and to get involved with the village. And then let that happen. We have no experience with your group at all.
I understand.
None. Zilch. We've got years and years and years of experience with the Manuka people. And I just got off the phone before I came in here to talk to some people that are totally involved, and they've been absolutely happy with this group. Absolutely happy.
Sure.
Some people may not be. Apparently, you guys weren't.
Yeah, and we mean no disrespect to Manuka baseball, softball.
The phone calls were coming into me over the past month, too, from people that I know.
Mayor, I can tell you right now, I have children that play in Illinois Select, and they also play in Manuka. And, you know, the business I work for here in town, we sponsor both. So both have a great ability to help children in this area. I don't think we're not saying that at all, sir. I think what we're saying is that the fields are underutilized, and we took direction from Mr. Collada with regards to the village is going to evaluate the fields on an annual basis. So the only way that you could evaluate a field, I would assume, would be as if you had sold, I don't want to use the word ownership because it's the village's field, but management or however you want to classify it. But yes, we do also have Shorewood children that would like to play in Shorewood. I don't think we're kicking anybody out. I mean, again, they're offering 50% of the time. We're asking for 33. That's all we're asking for.
All right, can we get a promise that you people will talk this next week and see if there's something else that you can shake out?
Sure, yes.
Because a week later, we're gonna have a board meeting.
Yes.
And if we want to bring something before the board that makes some kind of sense, I'm going to need all of you to be nodding your head up and down.
Yes.
Because if somebody out there is going, then if 3 go that way and 3 go this way, this one's going to go no. Okay? That we're going to stick with what we know, and what we understand, and what our people, and I'm going to say internal people, say has been a great relationship. Okay? Can't do anything else. So I hope you will get together, okay, on the phone, whatever. If you would like, I would offer to mediate it. If you want to come into the village hall, I will gladly sit and mediate that meeting if you would like. That's up to you. Just get in touch with Mr. Collada, okay?
Okay.
All right?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Any other comments? If not, we'll move on to business item number 3. Consideration for approval of an ordinance providing for the redemption and the payment prior to maturity of $1.7 million worth of general obligation refunding bonds. These are alternate revenue bonds, Series 2011 of the Village of Shorewood. Ann,
Thank you, Mayor.
if you would.
Yeah.
Our Finance Director, Ann, by the way, please.
Thank you so much. This is what we had discussed at our budget meeting a week ago. The bonds that originally constructed this village hall and were issued for about $6.4 million at that time were refinanced in 2011, so they're called the 2011 bonds. There's a remaining principal balance at this time of $1.7 million, which we're able to pay off. We would utilize partial fund surplus coming into the end of this fiscal year and partial fund reserves. This wouldn't deplete our reserves by any stretch. We would still be well in excess of our 25% fund balance policy. So in addition, we would save $116,000 in interest over the next 3.5 years. If we didn't take action tonight, these bonds would regularly mature in December of 2024. But I'd be happy to take any questions.
We talked about this in finance. I think we should go ahead and call these bonds and pay them off. Matter of fact, I'll put it in motion to state that.
I believe we have to waive the second read.
Waive the second read.
Second.
Okay, Diane, roll call, please.
Anderson,
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes?
Kirkland.
Yes.
DeBold,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
and Brockman.
Yes.
Agenda item number 3 stands approved.
House is paid off.
Moving on to business item number 4, consideration for approval of a bid award and a construction contract with Integral for pickleball courts, tennis, and basketball courts improvements at the Seni's Four Seasons Park. Noriega?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Well, we're about to get started. So we have Seni's Four Seasons pickleball, tennis court, and basketball rehab. We presented this back in January to you with the final design with an estimated construction cost of approximately $285,000. Again, the project includes the installation of 4 pickleball courts on the north court. It includes the resurfacing of the existing south tennis court, and it also includes the basketball recolor. We received 4 bids on January 29th. The low bid is Integral in the amount of $276,301. You'll notice that in the memo, there are the base bid, which is the pickleball, also includes 3 different alternatives. Alternate 1 was the pickleball, is the basketball. Alternate 2 is the tennis courts, and alternate 3 was just in case we had received a responsible low bidder with an aggressive bid, and we might be able to afford the shelter. We have a budget this year in the amount of $275,000. We have a proposed budget next year in fiscal year 2021 and 2022 in the amount of $286,500. We are making a recommendation to award and accept the bid proposal from Integral Construction in the amount of $276,301 and authorize execution of the contract consistent with the contract documents. Any questions?
Are you or Hitchcock, do you know this company?
Hitchcock does. They did a reference check with them. They did the research and they made the recommendation, which is in the packet, to award the contract to Integral. They're asking me, I have not personally worked with them.
This is just for the pickleball and the basketball. We're not
And
doing
the
anything
tennis
else right
courts.
now.
I apologize.
We're not doing anything else, just the pickleball and the basketball
And tennis.
and the tennis.
No shelter.
What would the shelter consist of?
Would be a standalone structure with a metal frame roof, similar to what you would see consistent with what you would see over at Four Seasons already. It would just be a small area adjacent to the existing south tennis court to provide some relief from the sun during, the summer months.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Integral Construction for $276,301.
Second.
Okay, Diane, roll call, please.
Brockman,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
DeBold,
Yes.
Kirkland. Yes. Luciano.
Yes.
And Anderson.
Yes.
Agenda item number 4 stands approved. Moving on to number 5. Consideration for approval of a construction service contract with Hitchcock Design Group for the pickleball, tennis, and basketball court improvements at Seni's Four Seasons Park. Manuel?
Thank you again. So Hitchcock is the design firm that led
yeah.
the way for us to complete the design for the Seni's Four Seasons pickleball, basketball, and tennis court rehab. We're requesting some construction services, which is for them to put the contracts together, provide some construction services during the actual construction, some site overseeing, along with reviewing of the shop drawings and making recommendations for any change orders and/or any time that there might be some contract issues. They'll assist the village in the construction oversight, but most of it will be handled by staff. We're making a recommendation to approve Hitchcock's proposal for construction services in the amount of $12,500 and authorize the execution of the contract. Any questions?
Make the motion for approval of the contract with Hitchcock Design for the pickleball, tennis, basketball courts at Seni's Four Seasons Park.
Second.
Diane, roll call, please.
Anderson,
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
DeBold,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
and Brockman.
Thank you.
Award the contract. Moving on to our final business item. Consideration for approval of a resolution adopting the village strategic plan for 2021 through 2023. Our administrator, Mr. Colada.
Thank you. So what's before you should not be a surprise. It is just a formal adoption of the plan that we've been talking about for some time. It establishes such things as the vision and mission for the village, including organizational values, strategic priorities, and other strategic initiatives to ensure that staff implements the vision that the board has directed us to bring forward.
Okay. I believe everybody sat through the workshops on the strategic plan, so a brief overview that you've had in your hands for a while.
Make a
Any-
motion, I'll make
yeah.
a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Hey, Diane, roll call, please.
Anderson.
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Kirkland. Yes. Brockman.
Yes.
Warren. And DeBold.
Yes.
Number 6 has been approved. We'll move on to reports. Trustee Anderson, Public Works.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, it's the same old story of the last 2 meetings, is snow, snow, snow. We've done a lot of snow plowing, and we've pushed back to the curbs now. We've had 4 call-outs in the last 2 weeks. We've plowed about 11.5 inches out of 4 storms. 306 tons of salt, 2,950 gallons of brine we've used. And then for the whole season, we've used 1,764 tons of salt and 19,640 gallons of brine. About 18,518 plowed miles of road. So we've been very busy. Our guys have put a lot of time on the plows, and they haven't been able to get to the tree work that we usually get done this time of year because of all the snow. So it's really about what's going on other than maintenance with the fleet and some of the buildings. We did get an award, believe it or not, over American Public Works Association, APWA, presented us award with Project of the Year, promoted excellence in management and administration for projects under $5 million. This went to the village of Shorewood for the project Route 52 and River a couple of years ago. Even though that was a project that was delayed in the fall and went unfinished till spring a couple of years back, That wasn't due to us, that was due mainly to the contractor, but we did get an award for management and administration on that project, so kudos to the Public Works and staff. Jim, you were here. Noriel, I'd like to throw some credit at you, but I can't too much because you weren't here for that one. So.
Good going.
So,
And rightly so, Norville.
that's all I got on Public Works for right now, but Mr. Mayor, so thanks.
Okay.
Quick question on salt. How are we on salt? I know there's other municipalities that are having shortage issues. Are we comfortable to make it through the balance of the season?
We have salt. We
Okay,
have
I
over
just know there's
1,000
other
tons.
municipalities with the amount of snow that we've had. I know, as Mr. Anderson referenced, there's been a lot of plowing and a lot of salt used, but there are some other municipalities that are getting very low.
We have over 1,000 tons in our salt dome over on Mound Road, and we are still obligated to order 1,800 or up to 2,164 tons, up to 120% on our state contract. So we're doing good.
We got plenty of room to store it, so, yeah.
We're just trying to utilize all the old salt that's been in the dome for about 4 or 5 years.
Wasn't just one big lump, huh?
As staff puts it, they're pulling out Volkswagen-sized clumps. So it takes a little bit of work for them to break that up and put it in our trucks.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. All right, Trustee Brockman, Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. Next meeting will be March 3rd here at the Village Hall and virtual. We'll have them both. We have one agenda item, looks like will come before us, final plat for the Go Pro Ball and Four Seasons Storage Project out on County Line and just inside Kendall County. So it looks like that, but we'll know Friday better whether it's gonna come or not, but they're still got a few things to button up. And
Good.
while I got the floor, I called Ann, was that yesterday morning, I think, about a few budget items, and of course, she had immediate and understandable answers for me, so thank you very much, Ann, for that help. So that's my report, March 3rd, next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Kirkland, Parks and Recreation.
Thank you. A reminder, the priority registration for the community garden ends on March 9th, and then open registration will begin on March 15th. Also, registration for the community-wide garage sale is available on our website. The deadline to register for the garage sale is April 16th, and our dates for the spring garage sale are April 23rd and 24th. And then the village-wide cleanup will take place Tuesday, which is Garbage Day, April 27th, after the garage sales. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the Village Facebook, Instagram, and Constant Contact, excuse me, for Village updates and news about special events and programming. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Luciano, Citizens Advisory.
The Citizens Advisory Committee will be meeting this Thursday, February 25th, at the Village Hall, at the second floor in the Village Boardroom. It will be a meeting in person and virtual. And as always, if anyone's interested in becoming involved, they can contact myself or any of the members through the Village website. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. I need a motion to move into an executive session for the purchase and the sale of land. There will be no action taken after the executive session, so we will adjourn from the executive session, come out here, and open up the cow meeting.
So moved.
Okay, Diane, roll call, please.
Anderson,
Yes.
Luciano,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Brockman, Warren, DeBold,
Yes.
thought there was one more. I missed it. My fault. We are now headed in executive session. We'll take a 5-minute break. In case anybody